13 games, smack bang right in your face. Let's go through all of them with Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I've got low-income white girl eyes. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball, and I think I said that wrong, but that's okay. I think you know where to find me by now. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Yes, start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, LockedOnDaily.com. That's where you want to find the newsletter for your favorite team. Get across to LockedOnDaily.com and sign up and get that straight into your inbox. We've got 13 games here. So, of course, I'm going to go through this super fast. We're going to have this all wrapped up in under 30 minutes. Lol. There's no way. But we'll try. We'll get through as much as we can. No, that's not true. We won't get through as much as we can. We'll get through all of it. And we'll see how long it takes. Because I actually do think there's quite a bit to discuss in the games that have taken place on Thursday. We will start off just by taking a look at some trends across the fantasy basketball waiver wire. Who's been added? Who's been dropped? The most added player. And we'll talk about most of these guys in the show today. Number one is Asar Thompson. You know I had some skepticism around that. We'll talk about that later. That skepticism may be founded. Ben Simmons was the second most added player. Absolutely. Just go and add Ben Simmons if he is available. Andre Drummond. No. What? Yep. Okay. Joel Embiid is questionable. They've got a back-to-back, so I guess he's going to get one game in Friday, Saturday as a starter, but yeah, that's not a priority to me. Lonzo Ball, we hoped we would get a little bit more out of him, but no, so I'm not sure you need to hold there. Old Dawson himself, the stream legend, Jaden McDaniels. Well, you know that whenever a Wolves game is on, you can consider him, but he is absolutely not a must-roster guy. And the last player there is the old Day'Ron Sharpe, which, again, was one of the biggest definitions of chasing that you will ever see, and didn't pan out, and that is not really a surprise whatsoever. The most dropped player, Vasa Micic, up the top. Okay, cool. If LaMelo Ball sits tomorrow, we go back and stream Micic in for that one game, but that's it. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope dropped. Understandable. He is absolutely not a 12-team league guy. He is the shorter Jaden McDaniels. Shake Milton was dropped, and that is fair enough. Although, today, we saw a change in the way the minutes went, and I don't think that we're grabbing him in 12s. I don't think we need to do that with Shake Milton, but it was an interesting change in the rotation. Marcus Smart did not play, and he was dropped. Totally okay. You can stream him back in if things do change there, and Ja Morant is dealing with a back problem. So we'll talk about that more later on. D'Angelo Russell was dropped. I'm recording this part of the show before the Lakers game, so I can't tell you whether he exploded and had a huge game or anything along those lines. But Russell's recent performances, and by recent I mean basically the whole season, have been terrible. So yeah, that makes complete sense. And then with Ben Shepherd returning, Timothy John McConnell, probably not going to be a hold, and I totally understand that as well. So I think most of those decisions that people were making across the waiver wire seemed to be pretty good. Let's see how we can go talking about these games, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was a pretty strong performance from the Detroit Pistons, even though they only lost by 7, but it was to the Utah Jazz at home. 126-119 was your final score here. Detroit did fight back in this game once they finally got Jalen Duren out of the game, and that's just what happens, right? we see bad performances, weird performances, and we got the Jazz getting a big one over the edge there. A big victory for them. Maybe it's a bad victory for them because they want to lose, but I don't know. Let's actually just talk about the game now on the Utah perspective, because they continue to be a team that's incredibly frustrating. You know that I think maybe 2 games ago I was like, yeah, how do we hold Colin Sexton? Like, he's playing 24 minutes a night. He's not very good in most of these games. So, of course, the big fella Sexo comes out and has 30 points in 36 minutes with 5 threes, 7 assists, and 3 steals, and this man does not do this. Now, there are extenuating circumstances. Jalen Duren's playing defense on the other side, but also Jordan Clarkson decided he was going to square up and try and punch Ron Holland's beard off, and he got ejected. So he played 14 minutes, and that meant Sexton did more. Was it the right decision to drop Colin Sexton? Yes. Yes, it was. If you held on to Colin Sexton, are you loving it? Yes, absolutely. Doesn't change the fact that he'd been bad for game after game after game after game. And this is a good one. And you might go and re-add him, and I totally get that. But is there a guarantee of 36 a night minutes? No, of course not. They lent into bigger minutes in this game. Even Larry Markkinen was good, 27 and 14. That's your absolute bat signal to sell him for any top 50 player. Just get rid of him. I would not be holding. Keontae George also made up for... What did he make up for? No, he just rebounded from last game's stinker to have 28 and 3 with 7 triples and shot the ball well, which also is just an absolute surprise to be sure. And you know my thoughts on Keontae. Locked in, 30-minute usage starting point guard is useful in category leagues. I know there are going to be field goal percentage problems, but you know what? If you care about that, then that's not for you. That's okay. That is okay. It will be for somebody else. It just won't be for you. Walker Kessler. We're getting a lot of minutes from Walker at the moment, and while on the surface you get 4 blocks and 12 rebounds, you love it. And I'm going to have this same argument later on when we talk about Yves Missi. That's great. It's pretty underwhelming, though. Like, 4 blocks is nice. I understand that. But 50% shooting, he took 6 shots and took 35 minutes to get there. Like, it's fine. But I would hope that in a game like that, when you play more, that you just do a little bit more. And that's some of the concerns, I think, with Walker. Johnny Collins, 16 and 9 with no assists and no steals. These are the games that I thought we would just get all the time from Collins. Of course, he has been ludicrously good, but the last couple have sort of dropped down a little bit there. I said already that Jordy Clarkson got ejected for trying to fight rugged Ronnie Holland. On the Pistons side of things, Tobias Harris returned, but it wasn't Asar Thompson that moved to the bench. It was Leaky Beasley. But in the end, that doesn't really matter, because when we look at the minutes, we know which direction the John Blair Bickerstaff went with. Because Leaky Beasley played 35 minutes. He took an unfathomable 26 shots. He had 26 points with 7 threes and shot 35%, and also chimed in by going 1 of 3 from the line. Beasley has been an incredible source of threes. He's been some pretty good guy with points. But we know what happens with Beasley. We know there's going to be issues at times with lack of peripherals and efficiency. And for now, yeah, we roster him because you know what? Why is Tim Hardaway starting on this team? This man has been, ever since he got cracked in the head, and I'm not going to necessarily blame him for that, but he has been like even worse than usual Tim Hardaway. And Beasley should just play every minute over Tim Hardaway anyway. But that doesn't mean that Bickerstaff's going to do that. Beasley was really good and can be used, but there's always going to be an expiry on that. The thing we wanted to look at is, well, okay, Jaden Ivey is out. So Asar Thompson, he's starting in place of Ivey. I don't think Ivey and Asar can necessarily start together because of the shooting issues. And Asar played under 20 minutes. He had 9 points on 33%. And that's yuck. I'll continue to say it. I love Asar. I think he can be a good player. The surrounding pieces here don't make any sense. For him to have the full run at things, and that's why I'm not selling out to get him. I was never that high on grabbing him this season, and all that stuff holds true for me. What else happened is, Jalen Duren sucks. 26 minutes, 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. He did shoot 100% from the field, but once again, Paul Reed was better than him. Now, I'm not telling you to go and add Paul Reed. I'm not going to say that. He's an 18-minute a night, currently bench center. Isaiah Stewart was out, but Reed had 12 and 9. He had 2 steals and 2 blocks. And Paul Reed does this. We know he does this. He's a low-minute, high-value player. But if you're in an 18-team or a 16-teamer, yeah, you go and add him while Stewart is out. And I don't think there's any shot that he's playing 24 minutes. I don't think there's any shot that Reed is starting here. Even though I think that he's a better player than Jalen Duren. It doesn't matter. Because I also think that they've got to try and figure it out with Duren, because Reed is not any part of the future. But in deeper leagues, take a bit of a look there. 39 minutes for Cade. He had 33, 4, and 7. He had 4 blocks. He shot really well from the field, but of course he had 4 turnovers. So that makes him terrible and not worthy of drafting inside the top 150. I don't make the rules. I just laugh at them. We'll come back because we've got 12 more games to go. We're off to a cracking pace. Definitely getting this done in 25 minutes. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You know what PrizePicks is. PrizePicks is the best way for you to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 different individual stat projections, and you can got a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. When you use it, it's just so easy to do. You're in there, you're just looking at the individual numbers. You get more or less, bang, put them together. So easy to do. It is really the best way to get that chance to win up to 1,000 times your money, and so many different states, over 30 of them, which includes the Big Four, California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida, and now offering MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account all the way through the season. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket RX. It is Christmas time. Some of you might be having some time off from work. Maybe that just preserves a little bit of the energy for you and you want to get a little bit down to business. Well, maybe your confidence has been shattered. Maybe you need some help in order to take control in the bedroom. Rocket RX has the solution. You can feel more prepared and ready to perform at your best, and Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits, no more trips to the pharmacy, just get shipped to your door. And if you're someone who cares about this, well, it comes in discreet, plain packaging. But as I will say, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a body. It's something that happens. It's not your fault. It just happens. Yeah, it happens. So you get these Rocket RX prescriptions with a quick 100% online consultation, and you can get your free prescription today. Visit Rocket RX to get started now. Only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off with your first order when you use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That is rocketrx.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX, better sex made simple. All right, let's go to the second game of the day. We're talking Thunder and our Orlando Magic. The Thunder win it. Revenge? No, it's not revenge because they didn't play this team, did they? 105-99 after losing the NBA Cup final. Oklahoma City gets the win. Let's start with the Bronco, Jalen Williams, because he's down a little bit at the moment. Williams, I thought struggled here, obviously. 11 points, 1 rebound, no steals, no blocks. 33% shooting, didn't attempt a free throw. He's down outside the top 100 over his last 5 games. That's unequivocally not very good, obviously. I talked a lot about how him being ranked as a first-round guy was a mirage. He's not a first-round guy. It's based on flawed metrics and all that sort of stuff. But he's also way better than this. Like, he is a second-round player, probably a second-round guy, second to third-round sort of a player, who's going to be better than this, but not as good as what he was earlier in the season is my guess. This is just a bad run. We looked at Cason Wallace, the Hong Kong mattress, and I was a little like, yeah, I like what he's doing. The 28 minutes is nice. He's projecting nicely. And I said, I think he's a must-roster guy, but I feel uncertain entirely about it. Well, the uncertainty I should have lent into a little bit more because, what do we get here? 21 minutes. That's not enough. If they're going to go back to mixing and matching, because remember, Aaron Wiggins is playing about 10 minutes a night the last few games. And Wiggins played 31 here. And Wallace played 21, and Caruso played 18, and Joe played 18. That's not enough for Wallace. I'm so sorry. He could be a steal streamer. He didn't have any of those. He had 5, 1, and 0. That's not good enough. Move on. Caruso had his 4 steals and hit 3 threes. That's great. I wouldn't want to trust Alex Caruso in 18 minutes, but as a stream guy, no problem. Shea was great, 35, 4, and 6. 4 steals, 2 blocks. That's an elite performance. And Hartenstein was also great. 12 and 12 with 4 steals and a block for him. The 3 players had 4 steals. This team generates steals at a rate honestly, we just haven't seen since the Nate McMillan, when he played, the Nate McMillan Sonics. I think that's about right. Jeez, it's a long time, man. Dort, yeah, this is Lou Dort. 2 points, 26 minutes. Steal, block. You don't roster him. You stream him. That's all you do. And not much else really worth talking about on that team, I don't think. Let's talk about the Orlando Magic, because this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, I think. They went into this one with the same starting lineup. They lose it, of course, 105-99. But let's talk about Mr. Black, because Anthony Black played 31 minutes. And why, you might ask? Well, Jalen Suggs hurt his ankle. So that is a good game from Mr. Black. Absolutely no question about it. Part of the reason why you roster Anthony Black, though, is you want to get some assists. You get some out-of-position blocks and some steals. Well, he had 3 assists, 1 steal, and 0 blocks. So there is a level of caution here. 23 points. It looks great. It all looks really good for Mr. Black. That's no denying that. And there is a chance that Suggs misses time and Black is the starting point guard. But just go look at the game log. Right? Look at what Anthony Black does. That you cannot rely upon him whatsoever for offense, for shooting, for usage, for anything like that. He didn't get anything on the defensive end here, or 1 steal, and 3 assists, which is bad. He had 1 rebound, which is bad. He needed 14 shots and shot 57%. I am not telling you not to add Black. I think it's actually okay to do it. Because I don't know if Suggs is going to be out or not. But all I'm telling you is if when you do it, and he plays 27 minutes in the next game, has 4 points on 11%, and gets 4 assists and 1 steal, don't cry about it, because that is what he does. I would 100% add Mr. Black over Kentavious Caldwell-Pope or Karl-Anthony. KCP had 11 points with 5 assists, which is a surprise to be sure. But he's a stream guy only, while the Magic hate Karl-Anthony 3 points in his 13 minutes. Also not a surprise to see Mo Wagner, who absolutely cooked the last time out, go back to having nothing of value whatsoever. 10 points, no rebounds, no defensive stats, and played 19 minutes. He is absolutely not Mo Wagner, absolutely not a 12-team league must-roster guy. What is intriguing is that big minutes for Tristan da Silva again. 15 points, 3 threes, 1 steal, 40% shooting only, but the minutes and the threes are interesting there for Aravinda. If you're looking for a deeper league points and threes guy, Tristan da Silva's got the role at the moment. Goga Badadze had 15 and 10. Pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, Wendell Carter Jr. had 10 and 13, which is also pretty good. I don't think you need to roster Wendell in 12-team leagues. He's fine. You can roster him. You don't have to. The upside is really not high enough, I don't think, to be considering him an absolute guaranteed must at this point. But yeah, the one we watched there is Suggs, who had a good line, 9, 5, and 4, 1 steal, 2 blocks, but got hurt. He came back in, he played 4 minutes, he didn't return. So we watched Mr. Black, and you can stream him in. But understanding that a lot of what he did today is not a realistic representation of the sort of value that he usually brings. It's usually very different to this. Let's go to the next game, the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards. Good for this. Good for the Wizards. They get a win. Is that the first win they've had in 20 years? Maybe. 123, 114. We'll start on the Charlotte side of this one. LaMelo Ball just went crazy. 34 minutes, 34 points, 4 rebounds, 13 assists, 4 steals. A Malik Beasley-esque 32 shot attempts, 9 of 10 from the line. Bad field goals, obviously, but the other stuff is great. And he attempted 18 threes. He hit 17% of them, but he was really good on his twos. I don't know whether he plays tomorrow. I know that Mark Williams isn't going to play. Well, that's actually not confirmed. I know he's not going to play, though. And what we get out of this is, that is when I talked earlier on about skepticism, about Walker Kessler being a little underwhelming, and I'm going to say the same thing later on with Yves Missi, is that when you're giving opportunities and decent minutes and you're in this nice role with guys out, you want a little bit more out of it. Mark Williams is doing things here in 19 minutes that you would love to get out of an Yves Missi playing 30 minutes. 16 and 8, steal and a block. He looks great. It looks awesome. Now, he probably won't play tomorrow, and we hope that this ramp-up continues, but it's there. He is a must-roster player everywhere, Mark Williams, and one of the best things you get out of this game. That's a usable line, don't get me wrong, but the best thing you get out of this line, again, is an absolute squashing of the idea that the Hornets think Nick Richards is better, that the Hornets are going to move away from Mark Williams to prioritize Nick Richards, that they're going to be a timeshare with Nick Richards. That idea was always insane. It never made any sense. It was pulled straight out of somebody's ass. There's no question about that. It's that idea of I just saw Nick Richards play well, therefore he is the guy. No, he wasn't, and he isn't, and he's not going to be. Now, if you want to drop BDNR, do it. Just not now, because there's 3 games and they play tomorrow and Mark won't play, so Richards will play 30 minutes. He had 8 and 7 here, Nick Richards, which is obviously not good enough, but you hold for tomorrow. No Brandon Miller, so they started Seth Curry. He had 3 steals, he hit 2 threes, he doesn't play most nights. I wouldn't worry about it. What is interesting is Cody Martin. Only 26 minutes for him, 14 points, 1 3, and 2 steals. He's just sort of been sneaking along, at least as a stream guy. So for tomorrow, Miller might not play, Williams won't play, LaMelo might not play, I don't know. So Martin will be a stream guy. Also, Vasa Midsic is a drop, clearly, but the same stuff as Richards. And if LaMelo does play tomorrow, then you drop Midsic and you really don't look back on it. The Wizards game, or the Wizards side of this thing, probably needs a little bit of extra discussion. I think they did go in with the same starting lineup, even though Malcolm Brogdon, Keyshawn George, and Corey Kispert all returned. Kyle Kuzma is the only one that's out at the moment, so of course our focus now is what does that mean for Justin Champagnie? The Passion Pop played 27 minutes, he had 14 and 8, and you'll go, well, Josh, very clearly, he is maintaining value. I know that, I'm going to let that sink in, because if you've had that thought, have that thought. That's okay. I'll say I don't think so. And here's why. It was a win that they got, a really good win. Champagnie played 27 minutes. He shot 71% to get there. Kispert played 19 minutes. George played 17 minutes. And we've got 30 minutes of Kuzma to come back. I defy you to tell me that Champagny will start over Kuzma. Yeah, he might start and they move Carrington to the bench. That's possible. But much again like that situation, yeah, we saw the drop-off come. 35 minutes, 36 minutes, down to 27. A lot of shots, down to very few shots. I'm not telling you to drop Dustin Champagny. But I think just get it out of your head, I believe, that he's going to maintain a top 50 run. He's their new young prospect that they're going to pour their resources in. He's been very good. I like what he's done. I think he played 4 minutes combined for the entirety of the season before those players went out. So just remember that part of it. Is he better than Johnny Davis? Yeah, of course he is. I am, and I can't play. Is he better than Anthony Gill? Yes. Jared Butler? I don't know, but he was a DMP. But yeah, all these guys DMP. Justin Champagny can stay in the rotation. Maintaining 12-team value? Don't think so. Alex Sarr, bad free throws, but otherwise, 19-9, 3 threes, 3 blocks, 5 assists. You bloody love that. I believe he will have a very clear top 100 run second half of the year. And the GOAT, Jordan Poole, 27 points, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 threes. That's back to top 10 Jordan Poole stuff. No, I don't think he's a top 10 player before you get confused. But it's good that he bounced that back. Malcolm Brogdon returned, and we're going to do this again, do we? 27 minutes, 25 points, 6 assists, 62%. Go back and use him. And when he gets hurt again, you move on. It just doesn't have any real shot of being able to maintain long term. Bub Carrington, get that garbage out of here. 2 points. He did have 9 rebounds, but he's playing good minutes. It just doesn't matter. You just move on. Like, we don't have to roster him at this point. Kispert's not a 12-team league guy either. And Bilal started really shakily, but he bounced back 14, 7, and 5. 2 steals, a block, and 2 threes. Really good game from Bilal. If he's on the wire, you go and add him at this point. You know, that's good. There's going to be ups and downs, absolutely. The shooting stuff from earlier in the season was not real in any way, but he has bounced back to provide a nice little equilibrium value. We've got more games to talk about. We will do that really soon. But today's episode, it is brought to you by the big fellas over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all of the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers can bet $5 and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place the live bets on the NFL. The live stats, it's there. The live play-by-play, of course it's there. When you and the fellas are out there just talking about the game and just chopping it up about live betting, well, on FanDuel, you'll see it all there. In fact, you can check it for other sports as well. It doesn't have to be the NFL because, that doesn't rule the world. We're here talking NBA, so go check out some NBA odds for the title, for the play-in, for the awards, for the Rookie of the Year. Are we going to go to I can't believe they passed him up at pick 17, Dalton Connect for Rookie of the Year? Probably not. But he's there. You can check it all out over at FanDuel. So head across to FanDuel. Never miss a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Now let's do the next game. What an upset. Talen Horton-Tucker's Chicago Bulls get the victory over the Boston Celtics 117-108. Zach LaVine returned, but Josh Giddey, who I thought when he got hurt, I thought, okay, that's at least a week or so. And then they were like, no, he's actually questionable. Of course, they lied, and Giddey didn't play in this game. And then he also said, yeah, maybe I can return Monday. Josh, we're listening, yeah? Are they going to label you questionable? Because there's another game on Saturday. So you've just ruled yourself out of that one. You basically said you're doubtful for Monday. But this team said you're okay for Thursday. You're questionable. He's there. He's fine. He's all good. Cool. Giddey's out for at least the next game and maybe Monday. We know that part now, so that's a W to know that. And once we have a guard out, there's someone going to step up. In this one, it was Ayo Dosunmu. He had 17 points. He had 8 rebounds. He had 4 assists. He had 2 steals. I have real trouble trying to place Ayo's value because he's one of those guys that is not a high usage player. Under 17% usage. For him to actually get to 12-team strong value, he just needs a million minutes because he's never going to be a usage guy. He's not a high assist player. He generated the 2 steals there and he shot really well, but 60% from 3. But at the moment, like someone's out all the time. It was Williams, then it was LaVine, now it's Giddey. And yeah, maybe there is a trade later on and nobody comes back in that trade. Seems unlikely, right? If LaVine is traded, the rumor at the moment, which I don't believe, because I don't believe any of those rumors until it happens, is Michael Porter Jr. So LaVine would go and Porter Jr. would just, I did it. I shouldn't have called him Porter Jr. His name's Porter. Porter, the poop cookie. He would just come in and he would play 31 minutes, right? That's just a 1-for-1 minute switch. That doesn't actually help anything for Dosunmu. What you need is a situation where a player is traded or injured and the guys that come back don't play. That's how that works. So if it is for Porter that Levine is traded, well, it doesn't actually help Dosunmu. And he's not a guy that really ramps up into big usage at all. He requires elite efficiency and high minutes. And I still remain skeptical. Yeah, roster him, absolutely. But I'll tell you this, I don't really buy him as a prospect. I think he's very shaky. He's not even a prospect, he's 24. I think he's shaky with his shooting. And it just requires so many things to happen. And all those things can easily happen. And we're definitely rostering him. But they are some of the conditions around that. As for Levine, he cooked. 36, 6, and 4 with 6 dribbles and elite shooting. Unbelievable stuff from Zach. Unbelievable. And he had a little bit of a dip earlier on, but that's great. I don't know. Should I do a swear? I want to do a swear, but I'm not really allowed to do a swear. Just imagine me doing a full big swear. Because can Nikola Vucevic just get the out of here? What is going on? Even in a game where they actually pump his usage way down. He takes 9 shots. Bro goes 78% from the field. Can this shit just stop? I can't sleep. I'm punching holes in my walls. I'm terrorizing my dog and my family. Like, for the safety of the world, can this guy just stop this? Why is this happening? Why does bro never miss? Either he has turned into the greatest player of all time, which, you know what? I'm not going to rule it out at this point. Or you're going to have the hardest regression ever, and he's going to be on an 11% run for 2 months. How is this happening? Because, like, the minutes aren't sky high. The usage isn't. He just doesn't miss anymore. Good for him. Well done, Nick. I'll tell you who does miss, though, a lot, and that's Kobe White. I was very, very down on Kobe White compared to, I guess, consensus or ADP or whatever you want to say this season. And, yeah, that one. Hey, I might be getting Vooch wrong, but I might get White right. That sounds bad. Why does that sound so bad? White right. Maybe it's the rhyminess. Maybe it's the other stuff. I don't know. Kobe had 12 points. He shot 36%. His usage is down. His assist rate is down, which we thought would happen, and really struggling. Really struggling. Taylor Horton-Tucker had 9 points. He played 19 minutes with Giddey out. He managed to be a -6 in a 9-point victory, so shout out to him. And the thing we wanted to see was Lonzo Ball. He played like 23 minutes last game. Went, all right, we're on here. 23, let's go. Giddey's out. Let's see what happens. No, 3 points in 18 minutes. Yuck. He shot 14%. And that's the problem with limited minute players, is that when the downside hits, you get nothing. And you need everything to go right for the big one. So if you added Lonzo, I get it. It made sense. Giddey out, push to 23, but they're not going to push him to 23. That makes it a really, really hard hold. Pat Williams hit 4 threes. Good for him. Love that for him. Hope his family cuts out the newspaper and hangs it up at home. I don't care. I'm not doing anything with it. The Boston side of things, they were able to run out the same starting lineup, and it is really important to pay attention to the way the Celtics and Porzingis in particular, anytime that he leaves a game, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily missing the next one. And if he says he's fine with this team, I actually believe them. Because Porzingis left after 11 minutes in the last game, and he went out there and had 36 minutes, 20 and 8, 2 threes and 3 blocks. That's elite. What is really interesting is the Celtics need to scrap and fight and claw and punch and do whatever they need to do to try and get a victory. And they couldn't beat the mighty Chicago Bulls. But we got 37 minutes from Tatum, who was limping around a bit, 31 and 10. Derek White played 36 minutes, 16, 8 and 4, 2 blocks. Porzingis got the 36. Jaylen Brown played 37 minutes, and still the shooting stuff is weird for him, 19, 3 and 4. But Peyton Pritchard played 30 minutes, and Drew Holiday played 29. We've been talking about maybe Drew Holiday being on the washed watch, which is weird because we saw him play in the Olympics and he was pretty good. But they're doing a thing now, Sneaky Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics, where instead of Pritchard playing 23 minutes in a close game, he just plays 30. And someone else drops down. And this one, it's the old guys. It's Drew playing 29, and it's Al Horford playing 22. And honestly, if you're in a 12-team league, Al Horford, get that garbage out of here. If you're in a 10-team, Drew Holiday, get that garbage out of here. And realistically, if you're in a 12-team points league for Drew, and maybe a 12-team category, get that garbage out of A lot of the time you look at it and go, is there anyone better on my waiver wire in a 12-team category than Drew Holiday? And almost unequivocally, if you're just going to 1v1 them, no, there's probably not. There's probably not anyone better out there, but that is not the decision you make. That is not the calculation to have. The calculation to have are the players on my waiver wire, is there a group of 10 guys who are all 10 to 15% worse than Drew Holiday? Because if the answer is yes, then Drew Holiday's a drop. Because he can be dropped and you can stream him in and get 5.5 games out of that roster spot instead of 3.7 out of a standard NBA player's 3.7 games per slot. You could drop him and stream in and get 5 to 5.5. You can get the hot player who steps up due to injury absences and get that value and just cycle through. So it's not about, is there someone on the waiver wire that is better than Drew? Because again, the answer is going to be no. It's almost definitely going to be no. But is there a group of players that if you mash them together Voltron style, they would be better than Drew? Then yeah, he is a drop. And that's the mindset thing that at times is hard to do. What did Pritchard do in his minutes? He had 14 and 6. He had 4 threes. He had 3 assists. Pretty good, yeah? He has been a massive, absolutely massive surprise to me this season. The fact that they're just leaning into just making him a part of their core 5 guys. Because realistically, he's, at least 6. Been unbelievably good. Let's go to the next game. It is the Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors. The Nets, whatever this Frankenstein monster version of the Brooklyn Nets is, they went into Toronto and beat the Raptors 101-94. There was no Thomas or Bogdanovic or Zaire Williams or Trendon Watford or Jalen Martin, if anyone cares. And then Nick Claxton decided, you know what? I'm just going to be a little piss baby and get ejected for the 3rd time this season. What's going on with this guy? 11 minutes in, he had 7 points. I was not red hot on him this season. I wasn't like, yeah, he's a top 30, top 40 guy, but I liked him in the 70s zone. It's been terrible. Back issues. If I was them, there's no way I would have signed him in the offseason to $100 million. No chance I would have done that. I liked a lot of their other guys better in terms of their backups and just let them have a chance. It made no sense. But what's this guy's problem? Gets ejected every 5 minutes, plays like shit. What's the story here? I'm not dropping him, but let's do this. In a 10-team points league, in a 12-team points league, much like the Drew Holiday calculation, I think Claxo's gone.
Get that garbage out of here.
In a 12-team category league, I do probably hold, but honestly, it's pretty close. And in a 10-teamer, I think you do the Drew Holiday on that. In a 10-team cat league for Claxo, I think that maybe it's movable from. Let's just get it away. Ben Simmons played 33 minutes, 12, 5, and 7. Must roster player. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Cool, whatever. Deal with it. That's great. Shake Milton played 29 off the bench, 12, 3, and 2. 29 is good. The production's not. It's 14 or 16 team stream guy, while Keon Johnson played 8 minutes. Don't be surprised if he gets Haywood Highsmith and is just from starter to 0 minutes really soon. Cam Johnson cooked 33 and 10, 6 assists, 4 threes, 2 blocks. Just sell him for any top 60 player. Anyone. I don't care. He's absolutely dominating at the moment. See what you can get. What is interesting here, and you look at this and you go, Josh, you haven't mentioned that Noah Clowney played 37 minutes. Weren't you high on him? Didn't you tell us that he's a must-draft player? I mean, no, but yeah, I sort of did if you want to eliminate all context behind it. And he's also been terrible. He has. This is encouraging. 37 minutes is great. 11 and 9, 2 threes. Love that. But I also don't really care that much. And here's why. I thought that they would be an organization trying to sort of develop some guys, and he's one of the only guys, literally one of the only guys on this roster with upside and potential. I thought they'd say, well, let's just play you good minutes and not get the crusty-ass veterans out there. But they didn't. So we moved on from him after game 1. Done. See you later. The reason why I'm not excited here is that Claxton got ejected after 11 minutes, and I could say that's not a regular thing. It sort of is. It's not super regular. Trendon Watford's out with a hamstring. That's going to be a few weeks at least. But Day'Ron Sharpe also got, 5 fouls in 10 minutes? Again, not something that's going to happen. So what's the likelihood of having Claxton playing 11 minutes and Sharpe playing 10 minutes in the same game? I'll bank it doesn't happen ever again this season, along with Watford being out. So it's encouraging from Clowney, but I don't think we should care about it, because the context behind it is very important. Keep an eye on Jalen Wilson. He was shit. He shot 9% for 6 points. That's dreadful. Not the worst game of the day, but it's dreadful. But Keon Johnson's not it. Not it. Let's go on to the Raptors side. Pretty disappointing loss for Toronto. They were without Rowan Barrett, who's dealing with an illness, but that meant that Scott Barnes was able to return. Barnesy was back. They also had no Yucca Poeltl, who is, honestly, not their best player, their most important player, because they don't have anyone to replace him. So Jacoby Walter moved into the starting lineup, and that meant that John Mobo was the starting center, not Kelly Olynyk. Poeltl was out. Let's start with Barnes, who came back from the ankle injury earlier than I thought. Played 36 minutes, so I guess he's fine, but that's pretty mediocre. 16, 3 and 6. He had 2 blocks. His numbers this season have been, I would say, overall pretty disappointing. And this is another sort of pretty disappointing game. Mobo had 8 points and 6 rebounds. He had 2 steals. He played 30 minutes, but it needs Poeltl and Barrett and Quickly and Davion Mitchell and Bruce Bowen all being out. I wouldn't be rushing to add him. Nor would I be doing it with Kelly Olynyk, who's telling us consistently, yeah, my back is still really sore. 8, 6, and 5 in 18 minutes is good. And you can look at that and go, well, extrapolate it. What if he gets 27? Yeah, what if? I don't really see that's ever happening here. So I'm not one at the moment. And I've always liked Kelly Olynyk as a fantasy guy. I don't think it's happening here. Also, with Ochai Agbaji, you'll go, Josh, that means we've got to grab him. And I think, no, I don't think so. 20 points, 4 threes. He shot 16 times. How many times do you reckon Ochai Agbaji is going to lead the team in shot attempts? Probably never again. He shot 50%, but it required no Barrett, no Poeltl. So if that happens again, sure, stream him in, but otherwise, no. It's also another time for you to sell your dick because Grady played 33 minutes. He had 19 points. He had 6 rebounds. He hit 4 threes. He got a steal and a block. That's great. That is a great performance from Dick. No Rocket RX required there. Great performance. But like we always say, we only ever get good Dick when the other good players are out. Simple. Barnes played. Dick, number 2 option. No Barrett, no Quickly, no Poeltl. So if anyone wants to give you a top 100 player for some Dick, then do it. Because I do not see how... Look, they have had terrible injury luck. And maybe they go the whole season with a rotating cast of number 1s and Dick just slides in at number 2 the whole way through. Seems really unlikely, but maybe it happens. And I'll wear that as a mistake if I traded him away for a top 90 player or whatever it is, because that's an unlikely scenario. But that's what I'd do if I had Dick. As for Gary Trent III, Jacoby Walter, 7 points in 24 minutes, no defensive stats. Surely, no, and I'm looking at the numbers, nobody has him in 12-teamers, so we're good. Let's do the next game, an overtime game. The Spurs, the Hawks, the DeJounte Murray Bowl. It plays for neither team anymore, but the draft picks are still out there. The Spurs get the win in overtime, 133-126 at home over the Atlanta Hawks. We'll start with the Atlanta Hawks, of course. They run in with the same starting lineup. Trae Young did sprain his ankle in this game, landed on Steph Castle's foot and returned, but he was good, Trae. That's a really good game. 23 points, 16 assists, 3 steals. You'd hope you get 1 rebound, but maybe not. That's okay. Jalen Johnson, 22-9, 2 steals and 3 blocks. Just business as usual. What isn't business as usual is the fact that Larry Nance goes from 0 minutes to playing 31 minutes. 31. Do we expect that? No. I thought that he might play the 23 or 24 minutes behind Clint Capella, but no, he played alongside Clint Capella and he played behind him and he cooked. That is an unbelievable game from Nance. What? 21... Actually, did I say he played next to him? Did he? I'm just trying to double check that. No, he didn't actually, because of overtime, the extra minutes. My bad, he didn't. 31 minutes, 21 and 13, 5 threes, a steal and a block. 62% shooting. Now, how many of you, put your hand up, I'll put my hand up, how many of you have been burnt in the past with Larry Nance? You look at the numbers, go, man, that's great. Larry Nance, look at these numbers. He puts up such good numbers. We just need the numbers. Let's do it, Larry. And then he goes out there and you get nothing for the next 5 games. But just look at the numbers. And it doesn't happen. This is great. You can add him, absolutely. But he might play 22 in the next one. The odds of 31 a night seem infinitesimally small. But you know what we say? As I knock on the non-existent stone template of the fantasy commandments, get out of it. Do it. That's okay. Whatever. It's not going to be this good because he hit 5 threes. And he played 31 minutes. But do it. 83% shooting. To be fair to DeAndre Hunter, he had 6 rebounds this. I'm not going to completely shit on him. but his shooting is unbelievable at the moment. 60% from the field, 27 points and 4 threes. He is a very big points guy. He's a points and threes player. Sell that to anyone who froths a big number. I would. You roster him, absolutely, but sell that on the basis of that part of the game. We got extra minutes from Bogdanovic. He had 10 points. He had 31 minutes. We'll call it. Should we call it the Drew method from now on? Probably not, because we've said it a million times in the past for other players. But it's the same with Bogdanovic. Is there a better singular player on your wire? Probably not. Probably not. But could it be worth it? Like, let's use the example of his teammate. Could we drop Bogdanovic, stream in Larry Nance for these couple of games while Onyeka's out, and see if we get more value? And then when that dies, we get someone else in. And then when that dies, we get someone else in. Yeah, like that probably is the better move. Because it's not really seeming to happen for Bogdanovic. It was a bad one from Dyson Daniels. Like, bad. Early fouls hurt. He ended up with 28 minutes, and he just didn't do anything. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. He's given us so much love and joy, but outside the top 120 over the last 2 weeks. So he was never going to maintain top 20 numbers. That's cool. No one was ever going to give you that. So it was a sell high in spirit, but impossible to execute. Just understand that where we sit with Dyson, he's going to be better than this. He won't be as good as he was. And the value sits in the middle. Ricochet continues to be terrible. 9 points in 22 minutes. There are still people holding him in 12-team leagues. And I got to ask, are you one of them? If you are, why? What's going on in your life? Everything all right? Can I get Santa to bring you a functioning brain?
Get that garbage out of here.
Santa joke. No, I'm sure that's harsh, mate. Maybe you just have other reasons for holding on to Zach Ricochet that I'm not aware of. Wemby played 37 minutes and dropped a line for a guy that should have been picked in the second round. 42, 6 and 5, 2 steals, 4 blocks, 7 triples, 54% shooting. But unfortunately, he had 5 turnovers. So yeah, like I said, second round player. Don't know why anyone would have debated picking him at number 1. Makes no sense. It was so obvious that he wasn't the number 1 pick. Really obvious. It's insane. What are we doing here? Chris Paul also played 32 minutes. He had 12, 7 and 8 with 4 steals and took 4 shots and hit them all. Paul has been impressive this season. For his age, he's been very, very good. And what the Spurs did, and I'm just realizing I haven't flicked it over, but I caught it, guys. I'm flicking the box score over. They went to the lineup that we thought they were going to go to. And Devin Vassell finally started. Julian Champagny went to the bench, and Vassell started. He played. Remember the last game we saw Devin Vassell, and I talked about this on maybe the mailbag show today, where people were frustrated they're going to drop Vassell, and I go, this is the unbelievably easiest time to buy low on him because people saw the last game where he had -4 fantasy points, whatever it was, and was terrible. And that's not reflective of who he is, but people had so much time to stew on that performance. The buy low's dead now, obviously died completely in the arse. 23, 4 and 2, 5 threes, 2 steals for Vassell. Shot 56%. He's starting. He won't go to the bench unless he gets hurt again. And I'd say that neither will Jeremy Sohan. 42 minutes, 20 and 8, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, elite. Is it? No, that's not fair. He's not elite. He's very good, and he needs to be rostered. Both Vassell and Sohan need to be rostered. And you know what you do to Steph Castle?
Get that garbage out of here.
The top of the Kia NBA rookie rankings and the favorite for Rookie of the Year had 7 points in 21 minutes. He didn't hit a 3. He shot 30% from the field. And despite what you think, he has actually not been good in fantasy or in real life. Yeah, there have been some interesting highlights. He's had some decent moves. He might end up at some point a solid starter. But overall, he has not been good. He has been gifted starters minutes, players are back, and that is not happening anymore. He is still rostered in a lot of spots. Do not do that. We also only got 18 minutes out of the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! 6 points in 18 minutes, so yeah, we're not rostering him. What was interesting here is the way that they distributed the minutes. If Julian Champagny plays 26 a night, you don't roster him. Simple. 8 points, 2 threes, 2 steals. The Horse had 11, 5 and 4, Keldon Johnson with 2 steals. And now that Champagny is a bench guy, which is something we have said all along, is that when Vassell and Sohan are back and Champagny is coming off the bench, he will not be a 12-team league player. And it happened today. And I don't even think you have to have necessarily do the Drew method on him. I just think that that's pretty clear. Unless he's playing 32 a night as a starter, Champagny, he's not a 12-team guy. And he's not a 12-team guy. Simple. I think that. I've said simple a lot in this show. Maybe it's not that simple. That's how I view Champagny. That's how I viewed him all along. It took us a long time to get here, but we are here now. The next game is a game. It definitely happened. It's the Golden State Warriors up against the Memphis Grizzlies. It was the much anticipated Warriors debut of former Nets, Lakers, Thunder, Hawks, Celtics legend Dennis Schroeder. They lost by 51 points, the Warriors. And we talked about the Schroeder acquisition in a big segment, talking about how I think a lot of players are going to lose value and no one's going to remain as a standard league guy apart from Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins. And I'll say this much. Nothing in this game changes my opinion on that. But if I do have Schroeder, I will wait one more game. But that can be a problem. When you have an idea, and I do have a lot of ideas about fantasy, I do think about it quite a bit. And my idea is that, Schroeder going to Golden State is not going to let him be a 12-team league player. He's not going to play 34 a night, and he's just not going to be the same guy. There's no way that happens, and I think he's going to be a drop. So when I see him come out in his first game and have 5 points in 22 minutes and shoot 17% and be a minus 34, I go, checks out. Now, I think we should take a lot of this game just with a complete grain of salt and go, what are we doing? It's a 50-point loss. It doesn't really matter. But it backed up my priors, and I am on the quickest trigger finger ever to drop him. Also, we know Steve Kerr was going to start Jonathan Kuminga for the foreseeable future. That ended today because Kuminga came off the bench. He stunk again. 11 points in 28 minutes on 17%. He did get to the line 10 times and went 70%, but I will continue to tell you this. I know there is a very big camp of people going, I cannot believe the Warriors, how much they have ruined Kuminga. They give him no opportunity. Why they like this. The reason that the Warriors do this, in my opinion, is because Kuminga is not very good. Simple as that. It's not some sort of ploy to hurt his value and keep his number down for contract. I just think he's not very good. And I have thought he's not very good all the way through basically his entire career. And again, much like with Schroeder, I'm not going to drop him just yet, but maybe I should. Much is the same though. I'm not adding Brandon Pajemski because of this game. No way. 21, 4, and 6, 25 minutes. That's a great game. It's the best game he's had. It's a 50-point win. Loss. I don't care. I'm not adding him. I was very happy to drop Buddy Hield, and I'll continue to be very happy to drop Buddy Hield. 9 points in 20 minutes. He's a bench player now. Bye-bye. Jackson Davis did something, but again, what do we care? And this was an absolutely atrocious game from Steph Curry. Now, I had Steph, I think he was on the Buy Low show the other day. He might not have been. Maybe he wasn't. But yeah, he'd been sort of trending downwards, and this is literally as rock bottom as it gets. Didn't hit a single shot, Steph. Missed all 7 of them. Had 2 points. Played 24 minutes. That's terrible. For fun. Just for fun. I know some of you won't find it fun. But just for fun, Steph washed? He's not, but we're at the stage. We're at the stage in his career where consistently big and good performances can't always happen. So Steph was considered in the first round mix by a lot of people, and I think I might have even had him there. I can't really remember. I probably did. Mainly just I thought extra usage would come his way, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he handles it. And no, I haven't forgotten that Draymond had the worst game you'll ever see. He did. He did have one steal. I'm just going to double check something. Because there are people go, man, people have to use this as now the new Tony Snell. You can't because he had one steal. It doesn't count. Draymond had 0.030 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 blocks. He went 0 of 4 from the field and he was a minus 42. It's undeniably horrendous. But he had a steal, so it's not quite a Tone Snell. Yeah, that stinks. It's terrible. I'm not dropping Draymond. He did start in this game. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next one. No idea. It's all over the shop. But I know that I am real close on Schroeder and Kuminga to dropping because that's how I thought it would go. I'm 100% dropping Hield, and I am not doing anything to change my opinion here on Brandon Pajemski. What do I do with Santi Aldama? I can't figure this shit out. Aldama looked like we were trending down to being the guy that he's been, and then he comes out and has 21 and 14 in under 25 minutes. He hits 5 threes. He goes 50% from 3. His usage is through the roof. He gets 27 usage. He's a plus 28. He goes 14 boards. How are you doing this, my guy? Just keep rostering him. I don't get it. One of the only players in this game, though, that didn't do anything was the guy that actually moved into the starting lineup, and that's Zach Edey. Edey started over Brandon Clark, and he had 8 points and 8 rebounds in 24 minutes. He did have 2 blocks. That's not a really good game. I still have real concerns about the upper limits of where Edey's game can go, but he remains a 12-team league player. We can just ignore that Jake LaRavia had 19, 6, and 3, I think, 50-point win. What we don't want to ignore is that Ja Morant basically didn't play in the second half. He had 9 points, played 17 minutes, but he had a back issue. He did have 2 steals and 2 blocks, which is amazing. But the back has been bothering, man. Don't be shocked when he's on the injury report for the next game. Desmond Bane had 15, 4, and 7, so hopefully some of the hand-wringing panicness about Dez settles itself down, because that's obviously a pretty good game. Let's go across to another game that was a blowout, not quite as big of a blowout as that last one. It's the New Orleans Pelicans and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets win it by 20, 133 to 113. For the Pelicans, they trotted out the same starting lineup. And I'll ask you this question. I don't know my answer to this, but I'll ask you this question. On the Pelicans' current roster, where is Trey Murphy? Is he their best player? Second best player? Now, I say is their best player, and you instinctively go, no way. But think about it for a sec. I mean, he's not, but Zion is still their best player. And I'm not even including availability, but Trey's really good. And it is insane to me that they consider benching him so that CJ McCollum can do whatever he thinks is cooking. It's nothing. Or Brandon Ingram's nonsense game. Trey's really good. And if we get to a stage where these players will return and Trey moves into a lower role, if you're in a dynasty league, that just turns into a huge buy low for Murphy. I know people think I've got a hard on for Trey. I do. Have a look at him. Come on. But I really, really believe in Trey Murphy as a player. 28 points here, 3 assists and 4 threes. DeJounte Murray didn't have 8 turnovers. He had 8 assists. He had 14, 5, and 8. Still really can't get going because he remains one of the most overrated players in the NBA. And Herb Jones had a nice 20-point performance. CJ sucked again, 18 points. And this is what I'm talking about with Yves Missia. So it is great. You'll go double, guys. That's fantastic. We're here. We're on. What more do you want? He's a rookie center. I get that part of it. But no Ingram, no Zion, no Alvarado. Missy played 33 minutes and he has 11 and 10. He has 1 assist, no blocks. That's really underwhelming to me. Should he be on a roster? Yeah, he should. But I don't think that's going to be all season. This is the time where all these guys are out where he should be cooking. Or should be doing more than this. And he's just a nothing player at this point. For fantasy, I like what he's able to do long term. I still hate him and Zion together, but, Zion might not be on this team. I like the upside overall. But this season, it's just there's not much fantasy numbers going on there. 7 points only for BJ Boston in 21 minutes with Jordan Hawkins back. So if you did add in BJ Boston and you were hoping to get something a little better than this, sorry, you didn't. So I think you can move on from BJ pretty easily. He was a guy that was a flyer type for points, and with Hawkins back, who did nothing, by the way, 5 points in 17 minutes, you can that just takes the top off what BJ can provide. We'll talk about the Rockets side of things because they went into this one without Tari maybe next season. I don't know what to do here with Tari Eason because he's dealing with this leg problem again, the same issue from last season, and he's been bad prior to this game. I am holding but the problem is with the problem with him, and I'll highlight it there with Amen Thompson, is it is very hard as a bench player to be an elite level fantasy guy because the floor is just lower. 24 minutes for Amen, 4 points. He did have 2 blocks. He had 5 assists, so that's enough. But there's always just something there. Jalen Green absolutely went crazy here. 1 million dunks, 34 and 6 with 4 threes. We are in that portion of the programming where Jalen Green looks good again. So you try and sell high. Dylan Brooks, the elite stream legend. 26 and 7 with 6 dribbles. He's an unbelievably good game. We know that we don't get this from Dylan Brooks every game. Of course we don't. We never do. I mean, you occasionally do, but you can't rely upon it. While the delicate dancer Alperen Sengun had 23, 9, and 7, and actually Fred VanVleet was better. Now, you can look at that and go, he shot 38%. Okay, yeah, that is good for Fred VanVleet. He had only 13 points, which is not fantastic, but one of the things that I said I was worried about with VanVleet is where have the assists gone? Why is his creation volume down? 9 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. That is the value that comes from Fred VanVleet. He's not a 25-point scorer. He's not a 45% shooter. He's a 16, 17-point player who shoots 39% from the field, but brings steals, blocks, and assists and good free throws, and we got it. We got it. I hope it can continue. I'm not sure that it will, but I hope it can. Jabari had 15 points. He also had 5 assists, which is a little bit weird. The other thing I would say that if you're in a dynasty league, I'm not really sure Reed Shepherd's value is going to be lower than this. Now, I had Reed at the top of this draft class. I had Sarr at number 1. And then I had Holland and Shepherd next. And understanding that this is a terrible group of rookies. They are all bad. Unequivocally, they are bad. But if I'm in a dynasty league, this man is getting 0 minutes a game most nights. And when he plays like this, Reed, he had 2 points in 15 minutes. He just looks completely lost. So if you're attempting a buy low on someone in dynasty, someone asked me today, who's a good dynasty buy low? This man is. Now, it's going to be hard, I think, for the person who drafted him to give up. But also, given how bad this rookie class were, there'll be people where Shepherd just sort of, they were there at pick 3 and they went, I pick 2, I guess I'd take Reed. There'll be people who did that. So maybe. I still don't, again, I don't think there are stars in this class at all. So the buy low is going to be really cautious. But yeah, the value's, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. All right, let's do the next game. The Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers go into Dallas and they win 118-95. Very easy win. But of course, the Dallas side, they were missing a few players. On the Clippers, Derek Jones was able to return. He played 20 minutes and 8 points in a revenge game with 1 rebound, 1 steal, and a block. We don't need to really mess with him in most fantasy leagues. While Storm and Norman Powell, huge usage. This is your sell high time. It's right now. Well, it's been there for a bit, but it's now because Kawhi allegedly is coming back. Powell shot 53%. He had 29, 6, and 5. These are continual good games from Powell. Absolutely. And if you want to ride it out, no one's stopping you. Like, just do it. That is cool. But also, if someone gives you a deal that looks too good, you take it. Jimmy Harden had 24, 5, and 7, and Zubats with another elite game, 21 and 15 with 5 assists and 2 steals. All of these guys are going to lose shots when Kawhi eventually plays. Just how much remains to be seen. Chris Dunn got ejected in what was the night for ejections. 3 points for him with 6 assists, while cousin Kev played under 20 minutes, 12 and 4. I know people have been considering adding Kevin Porter. You probably don't want to do that.
Get that garbage out of here.
And yeah, Kawhi's going to return and make that even worse. Amir Coffey moved back to the bench and had 16 points. He shot really well, 70%. It's a good game. I wouldn't get anything excited about that at all. For the Dallas Mavericks, like I said, they had players that were absent that are pretty good players. And that creates a problem. Spencer Dinwiddie and Quentin Grimes started with Kyrie and Luka both out. And it's always going to be tough. They didn't even crack 100 points. Clay was able to score pretty well. 53% shooting for him with 2 threes. He didn't do much else. I still don't think that you need to roster Clay. You can, but you don't have to. This is a very good game because guys were out. Dinwiddie also did really well, 19, 3, and 7, 3 steals and a block, but we know that when Luka and Kyrie play, we just drop him back down, and Grimes was fine. He wasn't great, 11, 5, and 3, which is, again, it's okay. But most of this game, you just chuck out this stuff. PJ had 14 and 9, Lively had 13 and 7, and what is interesting again is Lively playing 28 minutes, while Gafford played 14 minutes. 2 points for Gafford, missed all 4 of his shots. He didn't block a shot, and they are, at the moment, they are very clearly moving away from Dan Gafford. Now, if you are in a 10-team points league,
Get that garbage out of here.
you can do the same in a 12-teamer.
Get that garbage out of here.
If you're in a 10-team category league, you know what?
Get that garbage out of here.
And for Daniel Gafford in a 12-team category league, maybe.
Get that garbage out of here.
If he's playing 15 minutes, he is not a 12-team league player, Daniel Gafford. Simple as that. He needs 23. He's not getting it. If he does, you hold. But like, I would probably give it 1 or 2 in a 12-team league with Gafford just to see. But I think we might have seen enough, honestly. They are definitely going away from him. And it's always one of those things, is that a perfect example of a guy that put up great numbers on the Wizards, fantastic numbers because he had to, came to Dallas and was able to maintain value, which didn't make a lot of sense to me that they would play him over Lively, but we saw that Lively was way better, and people would just say, well, Gafford put up these great numbers, so therefore he's good and he's going to get these minutes, and no, he's not good. He is okay as a backup center, and it's finally sort of clicked in here. He is a player that when he plays Daniel Gafford, he puts up big fantasy numbers, and that's who he is. Nothing has changed in that respect. It's all about, does he get enough minutes to produce the numbers? And when the on-court play starts to be realized by more, then he just doesn't do as much. And again, I think that's relatively clear at this point, I think. So yeah, I don't think that it's going to be the incorrect decision if you do end up dropping him and need that roster spot. The next game, the Phoenix Suns lose at home to the Indiana Pacers, and that's really not the worst part of this game. For the Pacers, they trotted out the same starting lineup. They win at 121-11. Siakam had 25 and 18. Miles Turner had 19 and 6 with 2 blocks. Good games. What about Tyrese Halliburton? Well, it wasn't perfect from Halliburton. 13 points is not good. But 12 assists, 4 threes, and a block. I think some of the Halliburton panic has settled, which is great. Ben Mathurin, who'd also been playing pretty poorly, had a good scoring game. If it wasn't for the 3 steals, the game wouldn't be as good, but he did have them. 3 steals and a block with 16 points. I still think that Mathurin is a stream-level 12-team league guy and not a must-roster player, nor is Andy Nembhard, who did score 19. But there's not enough sort of going on in most of the peripherals to maintain 12-team value. But these are the sort of players who might be on your wire when we go back to the Drew method earlier on. Like if Mathurin is there, or Nembhard's there, and there's a bunch of players like this, that's when dropping those players becomes useful because you can just stream these sort of guys in. Ben Shepherd returned. He played 16 minutes, and while TJ McConnell did have 11, 2, and 5, which 100% is a usable line, he played 16 minutes. So TJ McConnell in 16 minutes, not a 12-team league guy. You move on from TJ, and when he gets back to 22...
Get that garbage out of here.
Actually, that was a poorly timed garbage. When he gets back to 22, you can use him, but if he's playing 15 or 16, you can't. Obi Toppin played 17 minutes, and again, 13 and 8 steal on the block is ridiculously good. It's just so hard to maintain 12-team numbers with those minutes. For now, he is doing it, Obi Toppin. I don't really know how, but he is. In fact, over the last 2 weeks, Toppin's the 42nd ranked player. Again, I don't really know how he's doing it, but he is. So you can use him for now, but as a long-term thing, I don't really see it. Also, we're also at the Thomas Bryant point in the season where the coach gets him in, he plays one good game, and he goes, oh no, it's Thomas Bryant. And he played 5 minutes here and went scoreless. Because he's honestly bad. And they've already gone through that 3 times. Well, not 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. James Wiseman, although they never got a chance to realize he was bad because he got hurt. Moses Brown, and now it's Tom Bryant. What can we find a way to get Marvin Bagley over to the Pacers, who actually, unironically, would be the best out of that group of centers? But it's this process happens so often. Speaking of processes that happen often, Phoenix suffered an injury. Bradley Beal did return here, and he pushed Royce O'Neal back to the bench. But the story is Devin Booker, who played 25 minutes. He had 17 points and 6 assists, and then left with groin soreness. Sorry to tell you, but the soreness in the NBA this season means a strain. This is a probably 2-week injury, I'm guessing. We saw him miss multiple games with groin issues in the past and hamstring issues. And yeah, safe to say that he's not playing Christmas Day would be my guess. And if they force him through it, they're actually idiots. We'll see what happens. But I do think that this is an injury that's going to cost games. What does that mean? Well, it means that I'd be looking at Grayson Allen. 8 points, 10 rebounds, 29 minutes. Not a good game, 33% shooting. Don't get me wrong, not good. But I do think he's going to have the opportunity now to start and play better minutes. Royce O'Neal, 9, 6, and 4 with a steal and a block. Maybe they start him and Beal plays at the 2 and O'Neal plays at the 3. That's possible as well. Beal had 16 points, but not much else going on there. I also left the game with about 2 minutes left. I haven't seen any updates on whether he's injured or not. I'm just going to go double check on that. I can't see any info about any Beal injury. It's more the fact that he didn't really do much in his time out there. But there is an opportunity here for more stuff out of Beal. And again, you can talk about Beal getting traded, but he can just choose that he doesn't want to go if he doesn't want to go. Remember that. No trade clause. Shout out to the Wizards. Tyus Jones had been shooting like the absolute lights out. And with a full healthy team here, well, until Booker went down, he struggled. 30% shooting. He did have 7 assists, but played 26 minutes. But those are going to bump back up now that Booker is almost certainly going to miss time. 12 and 10 from Nurkic is fine. It's not great. It's fine. And he played 32 minutes, which is also an encouraging sign there. But interestingly, Ryan Dunn was basically out of the rotation until Booker got hurt. Now, we're not using Dunn in any fantasy league, obviously. And he ended up playing 12 minutes overall. But it was interesting that he was the guy that they put out of the rotation. I didn't even talk about KD. This is a fantastic performance from KD. 37, 10 and 6, 2 steals. Shot fantastic from the field. The free throws are a little weird. 67% there and 5 turnovers. Got to highlight the turnovers. But overall, really, really strong game from KD. In this one, they just couldn't get the victory, unfortunately, for Phoenix. Let's go to the next game. It is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were hosting old mates, the New York Knicks. And it was Karl-Anthony Towns' first return to Minnesota. And it was a game that Josh Hart was out for a personal reason. We don't know what it is, obviously. I don't know how long it will keep him out or how serious it is. We hope everything's all right with Josh. But the Knicks smacked him. 133-107. And, of course, this means that Towns had a revenge game. That can only mean one thing. That's the only reason he played well is because he was against his former team. There's literally no other reason for that. Even though he has scored that many points, that's, what's this? A 34-point game, a 46-point game, another 32-point game, another 34-point game, another 44-point. Yes, I guess not. My thing with revenge games is you can tell me all you want, right, about an athlete saying, I'm extra motivated, I'm going against my team, and you might think that on a personal level that you would do that and you would play better. That's all well and good. But it doesn't mean anything in the general scheme because you will see professional gamblers and anyone who's done studies on this stuff will show you that it doesn't. There's no usable difference in production against your former team. Oh, but what about this caveat? It's got to be the person's got to have been there for this many years, and then they've got to have actually wanted it and wanted to do it. All that's like, who cares? If it's not usable for us in a fantasy perspective, if there's nothing that works from a betting angle, from a let's stream this guy in, from a DFS point of view, and there's not, provably not, don't worry about it. So this is great. He had a big game against his former team. He had a big game. 32-20 for Towns with 6 assists. You know, he had more rebounds in the game prior against the Magic. He had 22 of them. Is that a revenge game? Oh, no. He declined in his rebounds. It was great. It was great from Towns. He has been unbelievable. And I actually wasn't high enough on him in the preseason somehow, even though I had him at like 11 or 12. He's been ridiculous. No Josh Hart. So they didn't start Juice McBride. So that's our very easy sign to move on from Juice McBride, even though McBride was good here, 16, 5, and 8 with 4-3. So I say move on. Like the idea was you stash McBride, he plays 26 minutes, someone gets hurt, he plays 40. No. He moved from 20 minutes to 29 minutes when someone got hurt. So, not hurt, well, absent. With no Josh Hart there, you can roll with McBride. 16, 5, and 8 is good because, let's be fair, he's very obviously better than Precious Achiuwa. But that's not enough to justify a rest of season hold. As for Achiuwa, 13 and 10, that's solid enough to stream as well, as long as Hart is out. Anunoby had 9 points and 38%, not very good. While Jalen Brunson also only played 30 minutes in this game. They do keep his minutes down, interestingly enough. 14 and 7 for Brunson. Mikal Bridges also pretty big. 29, 6 and 6. Guess it was a revenge game there as well. Speaking on the other side with revenge games, onto the Wolves side of things. They trotted out the same starting lineup. Julius Randle gets his revenge in this one with 24, 5 and 3. No defensive stats and bad shooting. He was very clearly pissed. He didn't even want to talk to his teammates at the end of the game, his former teammates. But no revenge, unfortunately. Only counts when you have a good game. 15, 6 and 3 for DiVincenzo in 25 minutes. He shot well. One of his better games, actually. We're still not rostering him. This game was just bad, right? It was just a bad game overall. We got 11 minutes of Josh Minott, 11 minutes of Terrence Shannon. We got only 22 of Rudy Gobert. They just got blown out really early on. Absolutely cooked, the Wolves did. So I'm not going to read huge amounts into it. Mike Conley was bad. Jaden McDaniels was bad, as he is a lot of the time. We're not rostering Jaden in 12-team leagues either. The other thing is Anthony Edwards. 17, 5 and 7 is not very good. 3 steals and a block, not very good. That's okay. But part of the problem with Edwards, and I hate when this happens, and I hate being the guy that's like, oh my God, you hate Anthony Edwards. Well, I don't hate him at all. It's just that the way that he was spoken about last season, why isn't he the MVP? Oh, because he's not the best player in the league, or close to it, number one. He's the face of the league. No, he's not. Is he Michael Jordan? No, he's not any of those things. So you're setting someone up to fail just because you're trying to give a Dutch rider to somebody. It's so stupid. Now people go, well, this guy, what a fraud, he's a bum. It's ridiculous. It just shouldn't be that way. And people do it in fantasy as well. Man, yeah, he's the 7th ranked player. Is he? On the basis of what? Nothing. And he hasn't been bad. He's been good. He's fine. But it depends on where your expectations are set to begin with. Naz Reid also, the way that this man was spoken about last season, it makes you think that he was Nikola Jokic. Oh, they need to bench Gobert, get rid of Randle. Why would they trade for him? They got the best option there, Reid. Yeah, he's sick, isn't he? He's been awesome. He's fine. He's a serviceable backup who, if he played on a team as a starter, the team would probably be bad and he'd put up some okay numbers. He had 3 points, 2 rebounds, 14% shooting. If you're in a points league and you've got Naz Reid, 10 or 12, you drop him. He's not good enough for that. In a category league, I probably would hold, but it's been rough go. It's been really bad. And maybe he's just a guy that's a streamable player if Randle or Gobert don't play. Maybe that's what it is. Because he's not there yet. He's doing nothing at all. He can't shoot. A lot of the stuff that he was doing last season is not there. The whole team's a mess, obviously. But I think there's obviously been some extemporaneous fluffing of Naz Reid as a player that's just not realistic to who he is. All right, the final 2 games of the night. The Lakers on the road get the win over the Kings. 113-100 is your final score here. Anthony Davis, another trip to the locker room. You'll be absolutely shocked, flabbergasted, surprised that happened. He was also, as literally per usual nearly every time, he was able to return. We'll start with Davis and the production that he had. He was 21-20 with 6 blocks and 3 threes. Not very good shooting, but the other stuff is amazing. And it was also a really good Austin Reeves game, who is finding some good form here. 25, 5 and 5 with 3 steals. We wanted to check what would happen with D'Angelo Russell, and 16 and 6 is okay. But 23 minutes is not. So if you did drop D'Angelo Russell, I think it's probably the right decision. LeBron, all right. LeBron had 19, 6 and 7, which is fine. 38% shooting is not. We think we're well aware that LeBron is not LeBron anymore. I still think he can go to other levels, but yeah, we're sort of settling in here with this. And of course, I'm sure that those of you who have Rui Hachimura are not listening to this show anymore.
Get that garbage out of here.
But you should be doing that with Rui Hachimura, who had 10 points in 37 minutes. What about... you know what? You know what's really massive, apart from the low taper fade, is Dalton Connect. And how did teams let this man slip to 17? You just gifted the Lakers a top 5 player in this draft, gave LeBron the shooter that he's always needed. 2 points for Connect in 10 minutes. Okay. So pretty confident we can move on there.
Get that garbage out of here.
Max Christie's playing good minutes. It's not really meaning anything for fantasy. And by good minutes, I mean a lot of them. 8 points in 28 minutes with 2 steals there. That's just a deeper league spot, but he's getting those minutes. And Gabe Vincent actually looks like a functional player now. 12, 5, and 3 in his 22. On to the Sacramento Kings side of things, which, of course, at the moment, doesn't look particularly good, does it? They lose to this Lakers team, but Keegan Murray returned. That meant that Doug McDermott went back to the bench. We'll start with Keegan, who had 10 points. 2 threes, 2 steals, and a block. At least he got the good defense there, but his shooting just has not been good at all this season. I don't think he's a drop. I think he's a back-end 12-team league guy, but if I'm in a 10-team points league, he is a drop. De'Aaron Fox had 26 and 3 with 5 assists and 3 steals. Pretty good. Sabonis had 18, 12, and 9. Very Sabonis-y. But what about DeMar DeRozan? I'm not sure this is true, but he's old. He had a back issue, and he's just not very good at the moment. 10, 5, and 4. 31% shooting for DeMar. Didn't hit a 3. You know my thoughts on him on a team where he's very good one-on-one. That's great if we're playing down at the park. But he puts a real limit on the ceiling of the team. And this team, they gave up an unprotected pick swap to get DeMar DeRozan. Unprotected first-round pick swap to get DeMar DeRozan. In 2030, I believe. Yeah. Not good. Malik Monk played 37 minutes, which is encouraging. 17, 3, and 4. It's not his best game, but still pretty good. But what we wanted to see is last game, Keon Ellis went crazy. That was with no Kevin Huerter and no Keegan Murray. So in this one, he had 5 points in 21 minutes. And, of course, you can jack him off. Except... No, you can't.
Get that garbage out of here.
We talked about the 4-game week for the Kings and saying that there was value in streaming him on those days, but you wouldn't have played him today. And if you did, you regretted it. You're not going to play him on Saturday, and then you'll use him on Sunday. But is that worth not getting someone in Friday? For you, it might be. For me, it's not. He's not good enough for that. The value's not there, unless, as we saw, 2 players were out. And 2 players were not out, so the value was not there for Keon Ellis. Founder Pants had 7 points. Kevin Huerter in 24 minutes, and he's only a stream guy. And that's it with him. The final game of the day, the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers. The Denver Nuggets somehow lose. Topes lose to the Blazers. 126-124 is your final score there. Christian Brown, who missed the last game, he was back here, but obviously didn't matter up against the might of Chauncey Billups and the Portland Trail Blazers. Jokic did his thing, 34, 6 and 8 with 4 threes on 72%, a ridiculously elite game. Jamal Murray was also pretty good, 24, 3 and 9 with 3 steals, and Russell Westbrook played 33 minutes, which is really, really eye-opening. Christian Brown played 25 minutes, Westbrook played 33. If Westbrook plays 33 minutes, 12-team league guy, not a question. 19, 4 and 7, 1 steal, 2 blocks. So if you want to add him, do it. Let's just see. Points leagues, he's always been a guy to hold anyway. But if that's the new thing, then that's meaningful and that's useful to know. As for Brown, 13, 4 and 1, he'd been sort of trending towards a drop. I wouldn't do it just yet, but it is trending there. The poop cookie Michael Porter had 16 and 6, which is fine. It's fine. And Aaron Gordon was not fine. He was the opposite of fine. He shot 17% for 2 points. He shot 31%. Played 31 minutes. He had 6 rebounds. He had no defensive stats. Honestly, if you're in a 10-team league, I don't think you need to bother with it, really. Like, he's been quite poor this season, outside of a real hot streak earlier in the season. I would hold in majority of cases, but just be aware that he's not, I'll say untouchable, but it's the wrong word. It's more an undroppable sort of a guy. I don't think we should look at him in that respect, whether he's an undroppable player, because again, I don't think that's true. But he can very clearly be better than what we're currently getting out of big as Gordon. On the Portland side of things, well, DeAndre Ayton returned. That meant that Donovan Clingan went back to the bench and we got to see the 3 centers. So what happened? Well, Ayton played 35 minutes. He had 15 and 13 with 4 blocks. How? 4 blocks. What a game from DeAndre Ayton. So naturally, we need to check what happened to the others. Oh no. 12 minutes for Donovan Clingan, 10 minutes for Rob Williams. This is a joint jacking, and I don't know, maybe you've done a joint jacking before. I don't know what you and your mates get up to, but Donovan Clingan, Robbie Williams.
Get that garbage out of here.
There's an argument to be made that in February, Donovan Clingan will be playing 21 minutes a night, 25 minutes a night, and being a valuable player. True. That is an argument. But you absolutely do not need to hold him. You can, if you want, but we said this, that when they get the 3 centers back, that there's a chance that Clingan goes back and plays 12 minutes. And I was wrong. He actually played 11. 11:40, so maybe it is 12. Maybe I was right. We're obviously dropping Scoot.
Get that garbage out of here.
7, 4 and 4 in his 27 minutes. This is a game with no Delano Banton. But in great news, if you did hold on to Shaedon Sharpe, which you don't have to, he was good. 27 points. He shot 50% from the field. He had 4 assists and played 29 minutes only, Shaedon. I don't think that, obviously, it's not a regular thing because it hasn't happened really at all. This was very good, but I'm not going to get overexcited about it. Simons had 28 points, including the game winner with 10 assists, while Kamara had 14 and 8 with 3 steals. Just really good games across the board from a bunch of players. Weirdness with Ayton getting blocks. Sharp, absolutely cooking. Tamani Kamara putting up big numbers. Jeremy Grant, well, actually, what a game from Jeremy Grant. He had 5 rebounds. Amazing. He also had 13 points in 36 minutes. But Scoot, Clingan, Williams, nothing there. And I don't think that makes any of those guys 12-team guys. Unfortunately for them and all of their family that are rostering them in 12-team formats. Okay, so let's go ahead and give out the awards of the day. It's been a very, very long show. Your monstrous line of the night, there is absolutely no surprise with this. It is Karl-Anthony Towns, 32 and 20 with 6 assists. He was electric. He was unbelievably good. What a fantastic game and a fantastic season from Towns. The waiver wire line of the night is another center. It's the backup center for Atlanta, Larry Nance Jr., who played 31 minutes and had 21 and 13 and hit 5 of 6 threes. You can stream him in. What happened here was a little bit outliery though, but that's okay. You can try it. The young gun, ho-hum, it's Victor Wembanyama, whatever. He only had 42, 6 and 5 with 2 steals and 4 blocks. Just pretty pedestrian. He had 7 threes too, by the way. Pretty pedestrian from him. And your dud of the night. You might think it's Draymond Green. It's not quite. He did get a steal because this man actually actively hurt your free throws to go along with Daniel Gafford having 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. So the overall value metric of it does put it towards him. Now, I guess Draymond was bad, but the fact that this man went 2 or 4 from the line actually brought him negative value, which is why he was at the bottom. There were some outstandingly high and good games today and some absolute turds. Some absolutely terrible performances. I've held you long enough. I'm not going to go through the top 6s or anything like that because I'm also running out of time. So go ahead and double bang and thumb up. And remember, be good to yourselves. Maybe you've got a revenge game. You're going up to your former workplace or something like that to call in. Like, just do your best. Put your best foot forward. Spruce up your face. Wear some nice clothes. Or don't. Whatever. Find a good thing you did and think about it. And think that, it's not all bad. It's not all good, but it's not all bad. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.